We're just 15 days away from the NFL trade deadline, and NFL insider Dianna Russini from The Athletic dropped a bunch of trade intel and rumors over the weekend. So we are going to dive into those here on today's Four Verts episode. My name is Harrison Graham. Of course, the trade deadline 2 weeks from tomorrow. So it's going to be here before we know it, and you're going to see teams really start to decide which end of the spectrum are they on. Are they going to be buyers or are they going to be sellers? And how many big-name players actually get moved? We'll dive into the latest here from Dianna. But before we do just that, I want to thank everybody for helping us reach 12,000 subscribers. We are on the road to 13K. We're monitoring the latest NFL news, trade buzz, game reaction, did a Sunday Night Football breakdown last night. I'll do a video tonight at some point with the 6 Central, 9 Central kind of split. That's a late second game, so we'll see if I stay up for that one. But I'll do some kind of video tonight as well. Hit the subscribe button. We got you covered here on Four Verts. Okay, the latest on Trey Hendrickson. Dianna Russini kind of echoing what others have reported since the Bengals Thursday Night Football win over the Steelers, that most around the league do not expect a trade now for Hendrickson, because that was a pivotal game. We talked about it after that game when we did the Thursday Night Football breakdown. Had the Bengals lost, they fall to 2-5. You're already down a head-to-head matchup against Pittsburgh. Kind of feels like you're done. Now you're 3-4. Pittsburgh has a tough stretch coming up. AFC North is up for grabs. Kind of feels like they're going to keep Trey Hendrickson now, especially considering who they have before the trade deadline. The Jets this week, they're a joke. They should win that game. They'd get back to 500. Bears, it's probably more of a coin flip game. Chicago's won 4 in a row, but you get the Bengals get them at home, so certainly a winnable game. If they just win one of these two, if at worst they're 4-5, I don't think they're punting on the season. I don't think they're going to trade Trey Hendrickson. Had they lost Thursday night, it wouldn't have shocked me if he had already been traded, but certainly now that they won the game, I think they're going to hang on to him because their defense still has issues, and he's the one guy who can still cause problems. We'll revisit this if somehow they lose to the Jets, but my feeling, and Diana's reporting the same, is that Trey Hendrickson is unlikely to be dealt at this point in time. Is that also true for Jeffery Simmons? Dianna Russini reports literally every player on their roster except for Simmons and Cam Ward are available, that they are not interested in trading the All-Pro defensive tackle. I could push back in terms of whether or not that should be the case. I think if you're Tennessee right now, Simmons is having arguably a career year. He's turning 28 soon. Like, do you strike while the iron's hot in terms of trading a guy at peak value? I mean, if some team offered 2-1s, I'd be pretty interested in that if I was Tennessee. Ian Rappaport saying the same, though. He said when the Titans fired Brian Callahan, their phones lit up. Seemingly everybody was trying to trade for Jeffery Simmons. The answer was the same, not happening. Now, I also understand if you're Mike Borgonzi, the GM, first-year GM, you come from Kansas City, you know the impact of a guy, interior pass rusher with this capability. He saw Chris Jones up close for years. Like, that type of player can change a franchise. The problem is the Chiefs then have 10 more players who can change a franchise. The Titans do not right now. So I do wonder if a monster offer would change their minds. But they certainly seem like they're going to keep him at this point in time and do not expect to trade him. Now, which one do you think is more likely between these two star players? Do you think Trey Hendrickson is more likely to be moved or Jeffery Simmons? Weirdly enough, I guess I'd say Hendrickson, because he is on the final year of his deal. If the Bengals were to suffer an upset loss to the Jets, would that reopen the door for them to trade Hendrickson? Tennessee seems steadfast in not trading Simmons. Again, could a blockbuster offer change it? You always answer the phone, but TH for Hendrickson, JS for Simmons. Sounds like both are staying put, but a lot can change in 2 weeks. Okay, Dolphins fire sale, is that coming? Our friend Ricky had a lot of nuggets on this last week, but Russini had some stuff here as well. She reports that Miami is getting calls on both edge rushers, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. Phillips in the final year of his rookie contract. You look at the production from these two guys this year. Phillips has actually been the better player. He's been getting much more consistent pressure. His pressure rate is much higher. Chubb has finished a few more plays with 4 sacks and 13 pressures, but Phillips has 20 pressures. His pressure rate is like 18%. Chubb's is like 12%. So Phillips has actually been the better player, and he's younger, so I do wonder if he would actually fetch more. on the open market, especially since he hasn't been paid yet, like Bradley Chubb has. If I'm Miami, I'm trading almost everybody. I'd be a little hesitant on Jalen Waddle because he's a mid-20s receiver that I don't know if he's a true number one, but he's still a very, very good player that you could win with moving forward. But these pass rushers, they're not dominant enough where I'm tied to keeping them. I would be moving them. I would be moving any player over the age of 30, like who's the pass rusher they signed this offseason. Matt Judon, get him out of there. Like anything you can get for him. Like any player over 30 that's not part of the future seems like an easy trade. And I think Chubb and or Phillips. We saw Washington do this a few years ago. They traded both Chase Young and Montez Sweat. I could see Miami just getting rid of both. And hitting the reset button. And if you get a 1 for Jalen Waddle or a 2 and something else, I might trade him too. I mean, this offseason, do you just cut Tua? He's been terrible this year. I'm shocked I woke up this morning and Mike McDaniel still has a job. Chris Greer's a joke. Miami is just an absolute shambles right now as an organization. All right, more trade nuggets to get into, but first I want to tell you guys about our sponsor today. That is PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day. These GMs got to make some decisions before the trade deadline, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. A lot of teams are hoping to be right with these decisions coming up, and I'm hoping to be right tonight. I've got a 4-player lineup for the Monday doubleheader. We'll go ahead and flash that lineup real quick, then I'll tell you about some of the other features with PrizePicks. I got more on David Montgomery's rushing yards. Detroit says they want to run him more, so I think they're going to lean into that. I like more on Mike Evans' receiving yards as well. Tampa's beat up at receiver. I think he's going to get a lot of targets and opportunities. Plus, that Lions secondary is decimated. C.J. Stroud less on his passing yards. Then I like more Sam Darnold, half a passing touchdown. Little goblin play there. 4-player lineup. That's how PrizePicks works. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player lineups. If you hit, you win money. You can also go the flex player route, which allows you to miss one player in your lineup. You can still get up to double your entry on certain flex play lineups. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, like the Dolphins, are the Jets set to sell as well? They should. They're 0-7. They're horrible. Russini reports that Breece Hall and Jermaine Johnson are drawing interest. Jets are getting calls on both of those players. Breece Hall's had a pretty good year. Last couple of weeks, his production's been down, but without Garrett Wilson, that passing attack's just been abysmal. So teams are just teeing off on the run game against New York. I think trading Breece Hall is a no-brainer. They are so far away. Paying a running back does not make sense with where they're at as a franchise. And with him being in a contract year, if you don't trade him, you got to pay him in the offseason because you may not win the comp pick formula in free agency because you're probably going to need to add some pieces. So to me, if you can get at least a 5th, I would just take it. Maybe that's not great value, but I just, Breece Hall might command over $10 million per year. You're going to pay that if you're the Jets with how far away you are. With Breece Hall, who's having a really good year, you haven't won a single game. I mean, it just does not make sense to pay him. Jermaine Johnson, who was coming back from injuries, played in 4 games now. He's flashed a little bit. 5th-year option next year, so, I could see the Jets, if he has a couple of good games here before the deadline. Do you keep a young pass rusher that could be ascending? That one I would think about more depending on the offers. Breece Hall's a no-brainer. Jermaine Johnson, if you can get a day 2 pick, you probably just take it. But if it's day 3, maybe you keep him because you could just revisit this next year. You've got the 5th-year option. It's not like you have to pay him this offseason. So that one I would think about more if I was New York. But Breece Hall, if he's on the Jets after the deadline, that's a failure by their front office. Okay, let's get to Philadelphia now. Russini says that Philly is looking to bolster the edge and corner position. Now, this report came before this report from Adam Schefter that with Zadarius Smith retiring, former Eagles defensive end Brandon Graham is now strongly considering coming out of retirement to sign with Philadelphia. He, of course, spent all 16 seasons of his career with the Eagles, 2-time Super Bowl champion, yada, yada, yada. Jay Glazer even added that a contract could come as soon as today here on Monday. Schefter adding that nugget that he could sign as soon as this week. Now, does he solve all your edge rusher problems? No, but he's going to know the scheme. He's obviously a veteran leader as well. He can help. I do think corner for Philly makes a lot of sense. DeJean's been good in the slot. Quinyon Mitchell on the outside, but he's been a little banged up. That other outside position, though, it's been like Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo. It has not been pretty, so I could see them adding a piece there as well. Now, Russini also asked about A.J. Brown to one of her sources, and they said we aren't moving him, so don't expect that. And especially yesterday, if you watch how the game played out, he was a major reason why they won that game. Couple of deep shots from Jalen Hurts, who played pretty well, so maybe that Eagles offense is kind of getting something going here. So I would not expect him to get moved. And based on how his contract lines up in terms of the cap hits and all of that, it really doesn't make sense to trade him until the offseason. So I would not expect him to get traded right now, especially when they're contending and trying to, defend their Super Bowl title. Okay, we'll go more rapid fire here on some other nuggets. Chargers looking for running back and offensive line help. They're hoping to get Joe Alt back soon, but that O-line has not been good the last few weeks, and obviously they're banged up at running back. Najee Harris out for the year. Amarian Hampton hurt right now. Chiefs looking to add defensive line. Russini said right now she's not hearing anything about them trying to add a running back. They've been more productive recently with Pacheco and Hunt. That pass rush has been a little hit and miss, so maybe they add an edge rusher or something like that. The Raiders are open to trading Jacoby Meyers. This was before they lost 31-0 to the Chiefs. I would expect him to get traded this week, to be frank. Him there at this point doesn't make sense. Get Jack Bech, Dante Thornton on the field more. Play the young guys if you're the Raiders. The Lions are looking for an edge rusher. Remember last year they added Zadarius Smith to bolster that unit. I could see a similar type of move. Maybe they're a team to add Matt Judon or someone like that, just kind of a vet. Calais Campbell maybe. I don't think they'll do a big swing, no Max Crosby in this reporting, but like if he became available, I'm not sure the Lions would do that, but I could see them adding, a rotation piece. The Colts looking for corner help and just overall defensive help. They had been linked to Trey Hendrickson as well with the connection with Lou Anarumo, former Bengals DC, who's now in Indy, but again, doesn't sound like Hendrickson's getting moved, but the Colts secondary has been pretty banged up at corner. Juju Brents, I think, is still injured. Xavier Howard had to retire. They just had to put Jarvarius Ward on injured reserve. They need a corner, and they need one bad. A lot of teams need corners right now, so keep an eye on that. That market could start to heat up. Russini reports that the Saints are considering an extension for Chris Olave. He had 2 touchdowns yesterday against the Bears. Maybe they opt to keep him and trade Rashid Shaheed or trade some of their defensive pieces off. We'll have to wait and see. That's a tough call because Olave's a nice player. I don't know if he's a true 1, but he's a high-end 2. Does have a concussion history, but if you can get him on a relatively team-friendly deal, I could see them keeping him moving forward and trading off some other assets. If I am the Saints, though, I'm trying to get some draft picks at this deadline, so they're an interesting team to watch over the next 2 weeks. Jaguars looking for some defensive help. They've lost 2 in a row. The defense has not played as well. They've kind of been feast or famine. When they're creating turnovers, it's been good, but when not, they're giving up a lot of points. And yesterday, they could not take the ball away from Matthew Stafford, and they gave up 35. So keep an eye on that. Dallas is looking for defensive help. Shocker, you trade Micah Parsons. Your defense isn't as good. So we'll see. I could see them adding a piece of the secondary. Another note on Dallas here today. DeMarvion Overshown, their stud linebacker, they opened his practice window, so he should be back in the next couple of weeks. But we'll see if they add something there. They have a lot of draft capital after the Micah trade. Maybe they go make a move for a pass rusher. Patriots looking for running back and defensive line help. Ramondre Stevenson's had a couple nice weeks here. That fumbling issue hasn't popped back up in recent weeks. But Travion Henderson hasn't been very productive, and they lost Antonio Gibson for the year. So keep an eye for like a rotation back for New England, and then maybe an edge rusher. That interior D-line with Barmore and Milton Williams has been great, but that edge position with guys like Anthony Jennings, Keon White have not been very productive. So they might look to add like a speed rusher off the edge. I could see that. Plus Harold Landry's banged up now too. And then the Giants, according to Russini, not aggressively targeting wide receivers. They could have used one yesterday down the stretch. Jalen Hyatt not tracking the ball that well from Jackson Dart, but we'll see if that changes. They're 2-5, so you don't want to trade major capital, but I could see them if they could get a young, talented receiver with roster control like a Jalen Waddle, who's, it's not just a play for this year, but, I'm still trying to lean into Jackson Dart's 2025 development if I'm New York. So we'll see if they make a move. Maybe they go more of a lesser move, maybe a Jacoby Meyers or something like that. But we'll have to wait and see on that front. Been a little quiet. 2 weeks ago, we saw a flurry of trades, 3 or 4 moves. Last week, not so much. I'm guessing today, tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll see some trades in the NFL. Who will be the best player traded at the deadline this year? Who do you think it's going to be? Because the NFL trade deadline's become, not quite like the MLB or NBA, but it's pretty close. Like, you see some notable moves now. So if you had to take a guess who will be the best player traded, go ahead and let us know. My name is Harrison Graham. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to 4 Verts. We will continue to cover all things NFL and college football, so do not go anywhere. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.